And today what we're going to do is we're going to start with talking about MIDI in Ableton Live. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this and get my little thing on here. There we go, so you can see where my cursor is. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to drag a audio sample in here just so I have like a shaker loop going. Now you don't have to do this, but I just want to have like a little shaker loop going. Let's just go in and let's do a search up here for shaker. And all results, let's see, shaker loop. Let's see here. All right, there we go. And this is gonna pull from all my samples. There we go, there's a little shaker loop. I'm gonna turn this down to 120. Change my warp mode on here. We're gonna talk about warp mode today as well. Oh yeah, a lot of people have the push. Pushes are dope. Okay, so I got my little shaker loop going on here. And I got my MIDI channels over here. And on this one here, I've got my kick 808. All right, so I got that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just show you how to record in a MIDI clip. Now, this is assuming that you have some kind of a controller keyboard, and I'm going to show you in a second another way to do this without a controller keyboard. But basically, it's like this. If I want to record in this MIDI loop, I'm just going to hit the record button here and just start recording. Now, because my global quantize is set for 1 bar, when I hit the record button, it's going to wait until it gets to the bar to start recording. And then it's going to record until I hit this little record button again. It's going to turn into a little play button when it's recording. When I hit it again, and then it's going to start looping, okay? So there's essentially, when I'm recording, if I'm recording in session view, there's no stopping between when I start recording and when I start playing it back. And I'm going to just show you what I mean by that. Let's start off with a hi-hat loop like this. So I'm going to hit play. Now it's playing, and I never use a count-in Ableton Live because I do everything like what I'm going to show you right now. So I hit play, I've got a loop going, and now I'm just going to record. And now it's playing it. Now if I want to record into that, I can hit this little button up here, and it's recording. Now it's recording. See how it's a red play button? That means it's recording in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Now if I want to stop recording, I can hit this record button and I can go back and I can just listen to stuff, right? Let's say I want to play that one in. Let's go ahead and record it in. And I'm just recording this stuff in as a loop. Cool. Turn this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, I can record this one in here. Now, what you may be noticing is that if you're looking at the push screen over here in the corner, you'll notice that I'm actually I can manipulate some stuff in here as well. So if I click on a note, this one here, I can actually go through and get rid of them all. This is like a grid right here in the corner. So I can go in. right? So I can play things in like that. So I can get rid of some of these other here. I can play these in over here. So that's kind of like a rough overview of just kind of programming some drums. And that's how you would do it with the push. But if I'm doing it with a keyboard, it's a very similar thing. So let me just go ahead and plug in my keyboard here. And I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna put the keyboard on top of the push here. Is that gonna work? It's gonna trigger notes and stuff. Well, here, let's move the push out of the way. Put this on the ground. Let me move some things around here real quick. I'll just move the push over to the side. Just throwing some stuff off the corner of my desk here. And come on, cable. What's this cable wrapped around? It's wrapped around something. Hold on 1 second. Pull you out, move you around so you're not wrapped around stuff. There we go. Okay, cool. Plug you in. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna move my push over to the side over here. There's just not space on my desk to put the push anywhere else directly in front of me. So I got this here. So let's say I wanted to do the same thing with a regular keyboard controller. Let me just check my camera, make sure the keyboard's in the right place. There we go. Awesome. In a perfect world, I'd have all my cameras set up. I actually have 4 cameras, but I don't think I've been moving stuff around, so. All right, so now in this case here, basically it works the same way. Let me just delete this clip here. I'm just using my keyboard, and I just use this part up here, and I just can't see what's going on with drums and stuff like that. It doesn't have the grid outline for this, but if I go in here and I just hit go, and I'll just start with a hi-hat again. Cool. And you can see, or you can hear rather, that everything's quantized automatically coming in. That's because I have my edit record quantize turned on. So it locks it in. And now I'm going to hit this button right here to record over. And now I'm recording everything in just on this one clip right here. So this button right here is our session MIDI overdub here. And if I open up my instrument view, my info view here, the session record button here, this one here, and you can see what it does. If I look down on my lower left-hand corner of my screen, you can read about what it does. It toggles between playback and overdub recording for clips, which are currently playing on ARM tracks. My recommendation is set this up with a keyboard shortcut of O. So this is a big O right here, overdub, and I'm going to hit the O key on my keyboard, click it, hit O, and now it's going to toggle that on and off. Anything, when I go in here to, well, let me just click this on a regular L. For some reason when I set this up, I had these set for capital letters instead of lowercase letters. I had the shift caps lock turned on or something. But basically it's like this. If I hit this key button over here, I can set up key commands on various things on here. So if I want that O, to be a keyboard shortcut, I can just click on it and hit O, and I can have it be a keyboard shortcut. And then I can save this as a default set, so every time I open up Ableton Live, it's going to open this up again. And we could talk about that in a little bit more detail later on in Zoom. I can go back and show you that if you're interested. But basically, when I'm recording stuff, here, let me do this one more time. I'm going to use a different kit this time. Let's use a 909 kit. Double click on here, close that down. And I'm going to swap this out for a 909 kit. There we go. There you go, standard 909 kit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and record stuff in with this one here. So I'm gonna hit go. I'm gonna hit the record button here, and it's gonna start recording on the downbeat. And when I hit it again, it's gonna start playing it back in a loop. Now when I record this one here, I can use it. I can play it first to see what I want to play, to see what the sound sounds like, and then I'm going to hit this record button here. And it's going to play it back over the top of this loop. So my loops so far have all been 2-bar loops. And it's a 2-bar loop just because I made it a 2-bar loop. It's not set as a 2-bar loop. I just made it a 2-bar loop. So now it's going to record over that 2-bar loop. Cool. If I want to edit that sample, I can go in here to the clap sample, click on that clap sample there. Okay, and I'm just gonna cool. There we go. Cool. I'm going to record this last one in. Now, while it's, this is like house, electric guitar. You could put electric guitar in a house. I don't play guitar though, so you want to hear me play electric guitar about as much as you want to hear me sing. All right, so check this out. Now, the levels of these, if I want to adjust my levels, I click on, see this little arrow right here? This is going to expand out all my samples. And now, I can turn some of these down or up. And do it like a rough mix. Cool, and I can close it back up. Okay, so that's how you can like do a really quick rough mix of your drum sounds. And each one of these drum sounds can actually have its own effects and stuff. Now we're going to talk about that in more detail next after the break when we talk about drum racks and stuff like that. Okay, so that's that way. That's using a keyboard here. I'm going to go ahead and switch these. I want the push back here in front of me. There we go. Oh my God, the push is quite heavy. Oof. Yeah, the push has quickly become one of those, not quickly, but it did quickly become one of those things that I really can't live without. I love my push. I don't know if I'm going to take my push with me when I go down south or not, but I do love my push. One of my favorite things to use with Ableton Live. What is up, Raheem? How you doing, man? All right. So, okay, so that was using the push, that was using the normal keyboard controller. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to pencil in your MIDI notes. So if you do not have a controller, if you do not have a push, if you do not have any of that stuff, you can still make MIDI stuff using Ableton Live. So here's what we do. I'm gonna double click in one of these clip slots here, like this, and it's gonna show up my clip down here in the bottom. If I have a drum rack in here, you're going to see the names of all these samples down here on the lower left-hand side. See how it has all the names of my drums? So now all I do is I just go down here and I can double-click in one of these points and it's going to put in a MIDI note. Now, if I want to adjust the level, the velocity level of that, for drum kits, that's usually going to make things louder and softer. I have two ways to do it. One, I can go down here and click and drag on this little, see this little red dot down here? It's very similar to Pro Tools. Or I can hold down my Command key and it changes my cursor when I mouse over something, and I can go ahead and click it up to 127. For drums, usually want it to be like that. And then I can just hold down Option and drag this over, and now I've got a drum here. Now this is a 1-bar loop. If I want to make this loop longer, I just go over here and I change my loop length. Right over here in the left-hand corner, see where it says loop length, I can change that, boom. And now when I hit enter, it changes it into a 2-bar loop. Now it's a 2-bar loop, but this kick drum has not followed it over into the second bar because I didn't do it, I didn't put it in there. If I wanted to actually duplicate this first bar, so it's just double, now the loop is going to be double with all the same stuff, I can click on this duplicate loop button right over here on the left. I click that, and now everything becomes 2 bars, and it just copied over everything that was in this first bar. So for example, if I go in here and I put in my hi-hat here, I'm just going to make all these a little bit less in volume. If I hit play, so there's my drums, and if I want to just duplicate this, I can click the duplicate button, and now just duplicated everything into 2 bars. Right, so now I can put a little something on the end of this kick drum. Let's go ahead and put a snare drum in here. Now the other thing I can do is I can draw notes in. That's if I click on my pencil tool up here or hit the B key, B for pencil for some reason, and I can just put my snare drum in here. And the pencil tool will draw things in at the previous level, like whatever you set your last velocity to, that's what it's going to draw things in at. So right, so for example, this rim shot here, if I click on that, I don't want it to be so loud, so I can just pull it down to like, I don't know, 77, and I can go ahead and put this in. Let's do that. And it's going to come in at 77. And the way I can see, the way I make them lesser in volume is hold down the Command key on it and you click and you drag up and down. Now check this out. Look at my screen closely here. Look up here when I'm doing this. So if I hold down my Command key, see there's like a number hovering on the top of the screen right there? That number is my velocity. So if I click, I'm holding down my Command key. On the Windows, it's probably Control. And I click and I drag it up and down. You can see that number is getting higher and lower. For drums, a lower number is softer and a higher number is louder. This is your velocity. It's basically how hard you're hitting that key on the keyboard. Now, not for everything is it louder and softer, only for like, drums, pianos, stuff like that, acoustic instruments. But yeah, that's what's going on there, Tony, is that they also get darker and brighter in color. And then also if I look down across the bottom, you see these little lines down here across the bottom, they get shorter and higher up. Here, let me just go down here. Right there, see that's like, if I turn it down, it gets lower and higher. But I actually really prefer looking at the number up top because that lets me see that I'm dealing with everything in here. So for example, if I go in here and I say, I want, if you want to hear the notes that you're clicking on, you turn on this little headphone here. Now when I click on a note, right? It's going to do that. Right? So if I want like a tribal thing going on, so I can go in here and I can say, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to turn off this because I know what that sounds like. And just put this in here. There we go now. Now what I can do is I can click on the piano roll here on the left-hand side and hold down my command key to turn them down. And I could even turn off my piano, my pencil tool. And these are perfect fifths from each other. So I can adjust the tuning. I mean, not the tuning, the level here to kind of mess with the sound. Fatten it up a little bit. That one. That's just kind of weird sounding. So you can do that kind of stuff, and that's how we can program in our beats really quickly. Now, obviously, if you're not used to using piano rolls and sequences like this, then it's going to be take you a little bit longer to pencil it in, but you'll get used to it. So let's go ahead and put in like a trap beat. Let's do a trap type of thing, and get my 808. Let's put this up to 150. Whoops. So I just type in my tempo here. Let's take this one here and slow it down. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put it back into beats mode. There we go. Cool. All right. Now trap beat is at half the time. What is up? To one. How you doing? So trap beats are at half tempo generally. So I'm going to go ahead and double click in here. I'm going to go ahead and put in let's do a 4-bar loop. Change it to 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my pencil tool on this. Hit play on this. Go ahead and put my clap in. I'm going to change this to 8th notes here for now. Turn that down a little bit. Hand clap, there we go. Let's put a hi-hat in here. And I can go ahead and drag this out. If I change I can just click and drag across. Right, so I can just click and drag this across. See me? I got a little bit of skills. Just don't ask me to rap, well, which I'm gonna do in a second here. sorry, not sorry. Go over here, find a new sample. Let's go ahead, I'm gonna duplicate this kit. When I hit Command D, it duplicates it. Let's go ahead in here and put in another sound. Let's use yeah, we'll use this one. I'm gonna turn that one all the way up. I'm just gonna put this in here. Oops. And let's duplicate that out. Yeah. Cool. All right, so we got this here. Now let's do something with this one here. Let's make it bend and pitch. I'm gonna go over here to my envelope here. Make sure I'm clicked on the right one here. Let's use the tuning of this one here. Let's see, can I? Yeah. Yep. Okay, so we'll use that, and we'll put that in as a pitch bend thing in here. Let's see if we can. Yep. See, it's controlling that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this section here. Right click in here. Let's draw in a grid. And I can do this by hand, but I'm showing y'all how to do this. Let's duplicate this out. Bring this over here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this around a little bit. Did I purchase Ableton? I mean, yeah. There we go. I mean, actually, James is closer to closer to the truth there. So here we go. So this is like a cool little, here we go. So what I'm doing is some envelopes in here, which we're going to learn about after the break. So we got this cool little bass line thing going on here. Let's fatten that up a little bit. Sorry, I'm not gonna get too deep into this because otherwise it's like we won't stop. But I just gotta put this in here a little bit. Yeah, nice. Now with this 808 here, I'm gonna change this 808 sound out. Let's go ahead and go back to this one here. We don't need this like super deep kick anymore because we're kind of using the other one. Let's just find some sounds in here. So what I just did was I just clicked on, there's like a, see down here, there's this little, what they call a hot swap button. So I got here. We'll choose that one there. There we go. Cool. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because it's too loud. Okay, Dido, you're in the wrong place to be talking about cracks and stuff like that. This is not a class talking about cracks. So. All right, so we got this in here. And that's just a basic, how you can set up use some MIDI stuff in here. Now let's just go ahead and show real quick. I want to show you how to do some synth stuff in here as well. So we got our drums. Let's go ahead and make this one orange as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a new audio track. And we're going to call this one drum group. And this is how you do subgrouping in Ableton Live. I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to set everything to go to that drum group there. And we're going to talk about this in more detail next time. But in here, drum group, set my input to monitor input here. Set that up like this. And go into my groups. And let's go to drum group, Ableton. And I already have this stuff set up here. Same shortcuts as Pro Tools. No, it's they're using shortcuts. Pro Tools uses the N for new tracks. Ableton Live uses the T for track. So Ableton Live is Command T for an audio track, Command Shift T for a MIDI track, and then Command Option T for a return track. All right, so hold on, we're gonna move this out of there actually. It's gonna just go to my master out. But there are some, yeah, like James said, there are some that are the same. Cool. Nice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sidechain that kick drum in here into the into this bass here real quick. It will just take me a second. And this is all stuff I'm going to talk about in detail another time, but I'm going to use my compressor here, sidechain this in. Let's get that sidechain coming, audio from the 808 kit. Let's use an EQ, filter, high pass, so it's not just grabbing everything. Set that to like 100 hertz. There we go. Oh, what's up, Jason? How you doing? Nice. Now I can make that bass nice and loud, and that kick drum will still come through. What is up, Thomas? How you doing, man? Cool. All right. So we got this in here. Let me just change that and change the color on this one here to that. Set that up. Boom. Okay. Let's put this in the teaching file, Ableton teaching projects. This is trap beat MIDI. There we go. Nice. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new MIDI track in here. And let's go ahead and use a sound that comes with Ableton Live. Let's use some kind of a synth lead type of sound. Okay, we'll use that one there. And now when I can play my notes, And now I'm just going to record that in. And I just played it in kind of wrong. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and stop it here for a second. I'm going to change my length back to 4 because I let it go over. So now, yeah. Cool. Now, if I want to see the notes I just played, I can hit the fold button here and I can see all the notes I just played. I'm going to duplicate this loop. So I can go ahead in here and move this around. I can click on it and I can use my arrow keys to move it. So it's a little bit different, so it's not just so repetitive. Cool. And that just changes up a little bit. Let's go ahead and make another MIDI track in here. Use this one here and go up high. Let's go in here and I'm just going to record some stuff in. Let's actually before we start recording, I'm going to change my scale and put it into a minor pentatonic. Oops. There we go. Cool. So you see what I just did? What I just did was I was just playing something. I was like, oh, that might be kind of cool. So I captured it by hitting this button right here. And this is a really cool MIDI thing in Ableton Live. So if I go in here, so I'm playing it and I'm like, let's play around a little bit. I'm like, wow, that was really cool. I didn't record it though. So I can go over here to this button right here and hit it, and it'll play it back for me. And that's a super, super cool feature right there. It's something that Logic has had for a very long time. Pro Tools still doesn't really have it for MIDI stuff, but there you go. Ableton Live has it there for MIDI stuff. Now, if I go in here and let's see here. Go ahead and get rid of some of these extra notes in here. What I'm going to do here is let's just record a new line. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit the record button. And I'm just going to start recording whenever I feel like it. And it's just recording everything right now. Awesome. Okay, so let's say, oh, okay, I think I kind of like that. So what I can do is I can go over here. All the stuff I recorded shows up down here in the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the start point. I'm going to drag it over here like this. And now I'm going to hit play on it. Get rid of a couple little things in there. Cool. And there you go. So I've got like this one here, the one that I captured. Now, one thing I want to point out about the sound is that some of the notes kind of pop out more than other notes. If you want to go ahead and smooth that out, what you would do is make sure that you put a compressor on here. So let's go ahead and you just use the glue compressor that comes with Ableton Live. It's one of my favorite compressors in the whole wide world. I'm going to stick it down here on the track, and you just, to bring your effects onto your tracks, you just go over here on the browser over here, you just drag them down into the bottom down here. You can also just drag them onto the track. It'll put them at the end of your chain, and the chain goes from left to right. So I'm just going to go in here, I'm just going to put the threshold down a little bit. Let's use this one. Cool. Yeah, much better, smoother. We could also, probably what I would want to use more than this compressor though, let me just turn that off, is actually, and this is something you don't have, so that's not the first thing I went to, but FabFilter Pro Q3. And what I would do in here is I would go in here and look at the frequencies. Yeah, so right in here, I'm going to go ahead and pull that down. Let's spread it out a little bit like that, and make it a little bit wider. Let's go ahead and turn off the auto. Okay, and then mess with the frequency. There we go. Just get rid of those frequencies that are really pushing. Yeah. There we go. Cool. That EQ is dope. Really good EQ. Use both actually. Let's put this over here. Nice. Okay, so that's basically MIDI stuff. We got a little detoured here with the with the audio stuff as well, just kind of like messing around here. But basically, you see what I'm talking about here with the MIDI stuff. That's how you put a basic MIDI. And let's go take a look at these notes here real quick. So the global quantize determines when the launch, stop, or record, when the clips will launch, stop, or record. Global quantize can be changed to almost any number, but 1 bar is recommended. Clips that have their own individual launch settings that are independent. They can have their own individual launch settings that are independent from the global quantize. The way you change the record quantize when you're recording stuff in is over here in your menu under Edit, Record Quantization. Now, for anything up to about 130 beats per minute, I recommend using a 16th note. But anything faster than 130, like 150, for example, what we're doing right now for this kind of slower beat, I recommend putting it at the 8th note and then later on going in and changing it for 16th stuff if you need to do rolls and things like that. But for the most part, you can hear it's mostly slower stuff. So it's, the 8th note is really the way to go with this kind of thing. Recording MIDI clips, turn on the metronome, hit the spacebar to play. You should hear the click. Hit the record button on an empty clip slot to start recording on a MIDI clip. The clip will record indefinitely. While recording, the launch button will be red. That's the triangle. That's this thing right here. That will be red, and then when you're done recording, hit the launch button and the clip will begin looping at the next downbeat, and a playing clip will have a green launch button. So let's go ahead and put in a new drum part in here. And I'm going to go ahead and send this to my thing, my drum group, and I'm going to go ahead and change it orange because that's what I like my drum sounds to be. And I'm going to go over here to my drum sounds, and let's see. Let's grab a... I never really downloaded very much of the... Okay, here, let's use this one here. I never really downloaded a whole lot of the Ableton kits. I probably should. Oh. Hello, you. Wait, you're not. I don't really want... I don't want that. Hold on. I don't want the step divider. So I'll use this sound right here to put it in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit play. Let me go ahead and stop this lead sound. Okay, so I'm going to hit play. That's the sound I'm going to be recording. And you can see when I hit the play button here, it went ahead and started playing it. Let me do that one more time, okay? So I'm gonna just delete that one and we're gonna do it one more time here. I'll do it right here. And just pay attention to when I'm hitting the button. And when you can see it flashing when I hit the button before it starts actually playing and recording. So here we go. I'm gonna hit the button right now. I hit the button right now. I hit it a little bit early, so it kind of came in. While that's playing, I can actually play a new clip, and it'll record. It'll stop. So Swift says, when using the push, it's all about remembering where you place the sounds when you make the drum patterns and such. I mean, you can just play them and listen to it. It's not, you don't have to remember really exactly, because when I'm making my kits, for example, here, let me show you what one of my kits looks like. When I drag in samples from libraries and stuff, I make these drum kits over here. And so, for example, let's go down here to my percussion down here. So this one here has all this percussion sounds. And you can see from looking at my screen down here in the lower left-hand corner, I've got a ton of samples in here. Now, if you look at the push over here, right now it's only showing me 16 of these samples. Right? But if I want to see more of these, I can push my layout button here and get into a lot more of these. Right, so I can go in. Let's say I want to use these two sounds here. So I just kind of have to remember where these are. Go ahead and And you can, like, it takes a bit of practice, and you can see I'm struggling a little bit just because I'm trying to juggle, like, talking to you all about stuff and, like, showing you when I'm doing things and hitting the right sounds and things like that. It's a lot going on in my brain right now, but that's essentially what you do. So, like, that's a pretty cool sound. So what I would do if I wanted to record, if I wanted to keep these sounds here, let me solo this out. If I want to keep that one and add this in, right? If I wanted to do that, well, if I want to put it right into the same clip, I can do that by hitting this little button up here, right? Like this one here. Right, so I've got that in there. I think I hit another little button right there. Yeah, I don't want that one. Right, so I could do that, but I can also, whoops. Okay, yeah. I can also just duplicate this track and hit play on this one. Now, if I wanted to play into its own clip, it over here. Right, so I got those. Let me just go ahead and I can move it around using my arrow keys. So that's how I can set this stuff up a little bit. Cool. So I hope that kind of helps explain that a little bit more. So all I can tell you about this really is you got to practice this. It takes practice. There's a couple of things in the notes in here. If a clip has a green launch button, you won't record additional notes onto it. So if I'm playing this here and I can just hit these notes, it's not going to record anything. But if the launch button is red, now it'll record everything in. Right, it recorded in, it locked into the quantize because I had the quantize record button on. If I want to overdub, which is what I just did, you're going to hit that button there. It's this one. Whoa. Oh no. How do I turn you off? Ugh. Hold on. That's in system prefs. Accessibility, zoom, zoom style. Wait, hold on. Oh, it's only in my preview. How do I turn the zoom off in here? Oh no, this is annoying. Preferences. Oh goodness. Oh, I do not know how I did this. Okay. whatever. I'm not going to mouse over it because I don't know how I did that. I don't know what the shortcut is for that. I'll have to search it later. Okay, so regular quantizing. If you want to quantize, if you're not using record quantize, you can use Command-Shift-U to open up your quantize settings, and then quantize 2 sets the grid, adjust the note, adjust the start note or the end note, and then the amount is how much you're going to quantize it by, 50%, 100%, something like that. So for example, if I go in here and I've got this one, you have to click in your clip and I hit Command-Shift-U, and now it pulls this up. Quantize 2, 16th note, adjust note, start, end, and amount, how much, and you hit OK and it's going to quantize to that much. Now, in the future, if I come back and I'm like, I want to quantize stuff, but I just want to quantize to that same amount that I just quantized to, I can just hit Command-U and it will automatically quantize without having to go through all that stuff. It'll just quantize automatically for me. If you're using the push, there is a quantize button. It's right over here. That'll also quantize stuff for you. When I'm just writing out demos and things like that, I use record quantization. When I'm doing like techno and stuff like that, I use record quantization, usually set to the 16th note. But the quantize button is also, you do not need to, no, it'll automatically highlight them for you. So if I hit Command-U, see, it automatically highlights them for you. The bad thing about Ableton Live that I'm not such a fan of is you can't just click on the clip and have it quantize. You actually have to click inside the clip for it to quantize, which is kind of annoying. Actually, I don't remember if it's the same with the push as without the push. I can't think of how the push does it if it just lets you click on the clip and quantize. Here, let's try something. Double click in and let me turn off my grid. Oh, oops. No, that's with the grid on. Hold on. Turn off the grid. There you go. So now they're just kind of in there wherever. Now, if I hit quantize. Oh, okay. So with the push, you do not need to be clicked inside the clip. It'll automatically quantize it with just clicking on the clip outside the clip. But if you do not have the push, you actually need, or at least you used to, yeah, you need to click inside the clip for it to quantize. So it's kind of a weird way that it works. With Pro Tools and Logic, you do not need to click inside the clip for it to quantize. You can just click out on the clip itself. But with Ableton Live, you have to click inside the clip. That's like a tongue twister. Clip inside the clip. Click inside the clip. Tongue twister. All right. Oh, goodness. Over to you again. How do I get my zoom turned off? Wait, what did I just do? Okay, well, that's one way to do it, maybe. Well, let's see. Just quit the program. What is up, Staffo? How you doing? There's my preview. Oh, good. Okay, cool. All right. I guess that's one way to do it. I guess that zoom is temporary. Sweet. All right. Regular quantize is Command-U. Now, let's talk about extracting the chains. So in here, I got this 808 beat. Actually, I don't want these. Get out of here. Too much. So there's a lot going on right here. There's a kick drum, there's a snare drum, there's a percussion sound. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sounds happening in here. I want to separate these out. I'm going to let the fire people go past. All right, so I want to separate these out into different individual tracks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on each note that's actually playing. And I'm going to go extract chains. Boom. Now it's going to put it over here at the end. I'm going to go ahead and rename it bass drum. Hey, I said, oh wait, that was not the rename button. There's the rename it, but bass drum. Boom. Okay, now, and I'm just going to rename it as it's happening so I know exactly what's going on. This one here is the rim. I am using the rim shot here, so I'm going to go ahead and right click and go extract chains. And over here, I'm going to rename it rim shot. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that I can't just click on a bunch of them and extract the chain because it'll put them together into one new chain. So I need to do this individually. Go ahead, right click, extract chains. And this does take a second. I wish there was a shortcut for this, but there's not. That I know of. Once you're pretty good at it, it doesn't take that long, but it's still kind of annoying. And it turns them off also, like it stops them playing and it puts them back to 0. It's kind of annoying, but for mixing stuff, it's important. There we go. Okay, cool. So I got these. Now, it's all my 808 drums. All my drums in my 808 kit are outside of the 808 kit. I don't need that 808 kit anymore. They've all been extracted here. I'm just going to drag them over here so they're in the same place and have them all go to my drum group. Turn the levels down to about -5 or so. Cool. Now I'll have to change my compressor. There we go. Cool. Now I can go ahead and set these out. Now, one of the reasons why you do want to, hey, want to become famous person, get out of here. Ban. One of the reasons why I do want to separate them out is so I have independent control over my sends on them. So you can put an individual effects on each one if they're part of the drum rack group, but you can't send them out to the reverb over here. Cool. There we go. Okay, I like that. Sounding pretty good. Cool. So I got all my drums here. Let me just go ahead and change the name of this one. Shaker loop. Cool. All right. So, and then I like to copy my names in down here as well. And I have shortcuts set up for that on my keyboard using Keyboard Maestro. So I can just do this real quick. Just so when I start messing with stuff in the other view, I can see what's going on. Now, for those of you who haven't really worked on like the homework stuff yet, basically this is what you would do for the homework. Just make a little beat using the loops and stuff like that and just kind of lay them out. And we can go over that again in a little bit here later. But I think that, let me see here. Where are we in here? Extracting and change the track color. You can select the track, right click and select the track you want, and then right click again and assign track color to clips so you can have the same track color in all your clips. Subgroup mixing, yeah, this is a really cool one here. We create a new audio track, Command T, audio from, no input, rename the track to the name you want, and then select the tracks you want to subgroup, and then set the audio to from those tracks to that one. There's no buses to connect things together in Ableton Live like there is in Pro Tools. So we do things like this. It's easier and more difficult. If you're used to Pro Tools, it's like a little bit weird. But if you're not used to Pro Tools, then this actually makes a little bit more sense. It tells you audio to. Where's my audio going to? Where's my audio coming from? Instead of audio in, out, and all that stuff. So this makes a little bit more sense just word-wise. What we're going to do in here is All these right now are subgrouped to this one here. Let me just show you how I did that. I'm going to delete this one. So all these tracks here will go to the main output, master. So you can see here they all are. So what I'm going to do here is all these here, I'm going to make a new audio track, Command T to make a new track. I'm going to give it a name, drum group. Change the color on it. Okay. Down here, make sure it says audio from, no input. Make sure that says no input right there. I'm going to click on these, hold down Shift to select all of them. And now I'm going to go down here where it says audio to and select the name of the track I just created. So that's drum group. Now my drum group is right here. You can see now it says monitor in, auto, and off. I'm going to change that to in. In means the audio is going to come through it. And this and there you go. Now I've got my groups, my thing subgrouped. I'm going to go ahead in my drum group here and put a little. There we go. There we are. Boom. Little plug in on them. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Can you solo safe? You don't really have to solo safe in Ableton Live. Well, okay, so the answer is yes, you can, but the solo safe is on by default. So when I solo my drum track here like this, it's automatically going to play through like this over here. Or when I click solo on my aux track, my drum group here, it'll just solo out my drums. Now you can right click and click on this solo in place, which is essentially the solo safe. So if I turn this off, now it won't play. Oh, it does play through. What does it not do? I forget what it does differently. Why that is different there. I feel like maybe it doesn't go through to the recording or something. I don't remember exactly, but essentially solo safe is always on in Ableton Live. You don't have to worry about it. And same thing with Logic. It works the same way if you're using Logic. All right, a couple of reminders here. MIDI and audio clips act the same way. They launch according to the global quantize. You can only play one at a time per track, and the clip tempo will follow the song tempo. Draw mode here is where you can use the pencil tool that's up here in the upper right hand corner to draw in your notes. I just showed you all that. You can double click to create an empty MIDI slot. There we go. And you can draw stuff in like that. So, right, so that's like way too much on the hand clap. If you click to input a note and continue to hold the mouse down and drag up and down, that note's velocity will change. So for example, if I have let's go over here to my closed hat, and I'll make a new track here. If I click and drag up and down, see that? The velocity is going to change there. If I drag left and right, it's going to make new notes for me. And the velocity on all of them change. You can adjust your grid amount. And we can see what our grid is down here, down the lower right-hand corner. It's a 16th note. I can change using Command 1 and 2 to make it smaller or bigger. So Command 1 is a smaller grid size, what they call narrower grid. And then Command 2 is a bigger grid size. It's a wider grid here. And then I can turn my grid on and off by using Command 4, and it turns the grid off. Command 3 puts it in triplet mode, which gives it a little T down here. And Command, let's see here. What is it? The higher command keys actually control your global command numbers, control your global quantize up here. So the ones for the clip are command 1 and 2. Those are the main ones I use. I use command 1 and 2 a lot. And depending on if you're zoomed in and out, it'll change stuff based on your zoom level. There is an absolute grid mode, which I don't ever use just because I'm not used to it, because it's kind of not new, but for me it was newer, so I never really got into using it that much. Absolute grid mode, which works more like Pro Tools. And then finally there's velocity adjustments. So like I told you before, command click and drag up and down. And then also, if I have a string of notes here, like this, and I want to adjust the velocity for all of them. If I'm down here on the bottom, if I want to make like a rise up in velocity, I can hold down my command button key and then click and drag a line, and it will adjust the velocity for all these. Like this. So I can do that. Now, the other thing I can do is I can go through and I could select individual notes using my shift key and just adjust those, or I could have those go in like a line up like this, like that. So that's some cool little tricks for you there. All right. So that brings us pretty much to the end of today's lesson. Is there anything? Oh, freezing and flatten. Okay, so if I want to turn this bass drum, let's turn the bass drum into audio, I can right click on it and go freeze track, and then I can right click again and go flatten, and it turns it into an audio thing like this right here. Let me just undo that because it looks like there's, oh, I see what's going on here. All right. Let's make all these loud. That's why that first one was so loud compared to the others. There was a velocity change in them. All right, cool. So I'm going to right click, go freeze track. And now the difference between freezing and Pro Tools or Logic is that when you freeze a track, it freezes the whole track, so it locks the whole track into place. In Ableton Live, everything is done by clips. So when you freeze a track, it freezes all the clips individually, and I can still go through now and make adjustments and actually arrange these clips. I just can't make changes to the clips inside. This is a way better this is way better than how Pro Tools and Logic does it. So I personally don't really use freeze and freeze that much. I use flatten all the time, but that's because I like to work in audio. But this is actually really cool. If you do like to work in freeze, you can freeze the tracks and then kind of go back to it and adjust things if you want. So freeze and then flatten here. Boom, flatten turns it into actual audio here like this. Now the problem with freeze and flatten in Ableton Live, one of the problems is that with Pro Tools and Logic, when you do a bounce in place in Logic or you do a commit in Pro Tools, yeah, Joe, this is exactly what I'm talking about right now. When you do a commit in Pro Tools, it asks you what you want to do with the plugins, and you can also commit up to a certain plugin. With Ableton Live, you don't have that option. It just automatically does all the plugins, and you just that's what happens. But let's say, for example, I've got this bass drum here. And let's say on this kick drum, I wanted to put my decapitator. So if I want to put my decapitator on here, I drag it down. Let's go ahead and make some adjustments on this. Let's say I want to have that one. Let's use this here. Put some thump in there. Cool. All right, so let's say I like that sound there. Now when I freeze and flatten, I right click, I go freeze. and you can see it froze my decapitator here, and I right click again and I go flatten. It just, everything, now the decapitator sound is into the sample. There's not a whole lot I can do about that except, let me see, I haven't tried this before, but yeah, it doesn't let me freeze up to this plugin like it does with Pro Tools. Pro Tools commit up to this plugin, which is really dope. So it doesn't let me do that. So what I would have to do, what I always do, is if I want to freeze just my instrument and not my effects, I just make a new instrument, a new audio track real quick, and I just go over here and drag that onto the audio track, and then freeze, which I have set for. I used to have it set for a shortcut. I don't remember what that shortcut is anymore. What's my shortcut? Whatever. Freeze, right click, freeze, and then right click again and hit flatten, and then go back over here and put the decapitator onto the track or the group of plugins, whatever it is, which is super long-winded and annoying that I have to do it like that, but it's worth keeping the plugins sometimes. So. It completely erases the original clip. The MIDI clip, done. It's gone. So if you want to keep your MIDI, here's another way you can do this. It's kind of cool. A friend showed me this a while back. It's a way that some people do it. What they do is they flatten the track, and then they take this and drag it over to here. Whoops, hold down Option and drag it over, and then unflatten again. It's depending on how badly you want to keep that MIDI. You could also make a MIDI clip, a MIDI track that just has a whole bunch of empty MIDI clips on it for various things and keep track of it. But it's kind of annoying. It's their way to do it in Ableton Live is not my favorite. Not my favorite. I prefer the way Pro Tools does it. One of the things that's good about it doing it this way is that if you are using the push and you're doing live stuff on stage, like in a live way, then this way is faster. But I think most producers, in my way that I've seen people using Ableton Live, I actually think more people would benefit from doing it the Pro Tools way, where you actually have a little bit more control over what it does to the original track afterwards. But I don't work for Ableton Live. I don't have any say in it. So yeah. But there you go. There's cool. There you go. So there's my sound. And for some reason it's like a lot quieter than it was. What is going on? What's happened? Why is this now? Wow. That's funny. Can you hide or make tracks inactive? Nope. Cannot do that. No hiding of tracks. Decapitator. Decapitator's dope. Get it. All right. So, but I'm not going to address that question right now, just because it's like super off topic. But Decapitator's dope. It's like a secret weapon for a lot of people. It's good for basses and kick drums and things like that, but just good for beefing up stuff. All right. So, all right. Where was I? Yeah. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and pause the recording.